Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Winning in Life podcast. Today promises to be great. Why? Because we're going to be doing something different, right? Usually I'd have a guest where I'm talking to and we just chop it up. But today I'm just going to be answering questions, right? Life questions, questions that deal with winning in life and the journey of life, as it were. And so I'm really excited to be here, ready to answer all the questions we've received. If you'd like to know when the next episode is coming out, please subscribe, share, let someone know. Hey, let them win in life also. So tell a friend about us, okay? All right, let's get into it. I am ready to answer some questions. Let's go. Top 3 decisions. So honestly, life is about choices, right? And many times the choices you make affect everything that you do. And so when you look at the word decision, comes from decide, right? And really decide comes from the Latin word, which is literally to kill other options. I mean, we see the word in insecticide or pesticide, right? The killing of this, or you have suicide, the killing of self. You have homicide, killing of another person. And so really that in its sense, when you decide, it literally means you're killing off other options, right? You're left with that one. So wanted to start there. But top 3 decisions, I will say the first one, pretty obvious. And I don't want to sound too cliche, but it really is. I think just that decision where that acceptance, acknowledgement, receiving Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. I think that's where it all started, right? Really, that's the beginning of abundant life. That's the beginning of a winning life. For me, that's what it's been, right? The moment I've come to be in that place to acknowledge all that Christ has done, it's changed everything for me. Secondly, I will say is being intentional about relationships in my life. I really, really believe, relationships are the new currency. And so I consider myself very rich in that space, but really just being intentional, right? Maximizing relationships and being in that place where you can maintain a relationship. And so, hey, I'll ask you, what are the relationships in your life, right? They say you're the average of the top 5 people around you. And so maybe you need to look at that circle and say, what do I need to do? And honestly, if the people around you won't change, you might need to change the people around you, right? There's the African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Right. And so that group, your road dogs, right? Your people, those relationships are very, very key. And so definitely, I think I was intentional to decide who I really want to spend life with. I think that's extremely, extremely important. Third thing I would say as a decision, really just to, keep growing, keep educating yourself. I think they say that's the key to life, actually, right? Keep educating yourself, right? I think being in that place where you're like, you know what, I just want to keep growing. I want to learn, where you're not stopping, right? Because I think sometimes we could kind of rest on our laurels or just be in that place where you feel like I've arrived, right? But life is not a destination, it's a journey. And so in this journey of life, yes, you were great yesterday, last year, 5 years ago. That's good, and it helps. But guess what? You have to keep going. You have to keep growing. You have to keep pushing the envelope and just seeing what it is that you want to do, and you're growing in that space. So I'm hoping you hear that and you decide not to settle, not to compromise, or just be in the place where you're complacent, right? But you're like, you know what? I want to keep growing. I think that's a big decision that I'm always kind of looking for. Okay, what do I need to learn? I'm inquisitive, try to ask questions, and you can always be in that space. Wow, best 3 pieces of advice. I think the first one is, to live a life of gratitude. I think, many times we're in that space where you can see everything that's going wrong, but possibly miss out on what is going right, right? And I think gratitude really, really helps. Just being in that place where you're thankful, appreciative, and just that gratitude in life. It really, really helps, right? And so, I try to always be thankful. That was told to me by a dear friend. Just being in that space, right? And so, hey, maybe you might be somewhere where you feel like, oh man, I'm missing out on some things. But I promise you, if you just, you know, practice really gratitude, people have a gratitude journal and just things that they're thankful for. It really, really helps. Um, Second advice I would say be authentic, right? Be yourself. I think many times we're a version of what we think people would like to see, where something that might not be what seems organic and natural to us. And so be yourself. Be in that place where if there's something you don't like, by all means change it and work on it. But just be authentic, right? Be in the place where you want to do what is meaningful to you. I think one of the worst things in life is getting to the top of the ladder and realizing it was the wrong ladder all along, right? And so it's like, okay, is this something that really, really means this much to me? And I think when you do that, when you're intentional, you're working on growth in that space, it helps a lot. Thirdly, I will say, advice that I've received. It's interesting. I think also just to be in that place of serving others, right? I think it's been really, really helpful, whereby let's not constantly be so worried about self and everything is about you. You miss out on what you could be to others. And I think in that place of service, many times you find fulfillment. In that place of service and helping others, you're like, wow, this is great. In that place of service, you find purpose, right? Where you really, really feel like, man, this is great, this is working, but it comes from really being in that place where you're trying to help someone else. It's funny, right? Sometimes I'm like, wow, I actually was trying to do this for someone, but then you realize it's actually helping you in the process. And I think in life, you meet many people, be kind to everyone, and be in that place where you're really just genuinely saying, how can I serve you? How can I be of help to you? How can I be of value to you? And I think if we have that mindset of giving and saying, you know what, I want to be helpful to you, it turns out being helpful to us. And so that's a great way and standard to live life by. Okay, good question. So I see we're going in threes. Three life lessons. I would say one, just perseverance. I think it's extremely important to have that mindset of I'm not going to quit. Right? I think many times we stop too early. We quit ahead of time. Life has difficulties, right? It's like a hurdle race. It's a race, and there's a position or there's something along the way that you have to jump over, right? That's just life. When you think about a road trip, so many things can happen, right? There could be bumps along the way, potholes on the road, a flat tire, the driver is fatigued, whatever it is, right? But if you stay the course, you will make it there. And I think just being in that place of perseverance, right? So just because something is not working right now doesn't mean it won't work, right? Some things take time. And so being in that place where you're diligent, you're consistent, and you're just making progress. I think if we're in that place where, as opposed to perfection or this, overnight success, we really, really just appreciate and fall in love with the process, right? And just in that place of perseverance to say, you know what, I know what I want to do. I know this is for me, and I'm just going to stay. So maybe you're tired, but you're doing something great. I want to encourage you, just stay in that place, right? And persevere. I would say another lesson in life I've learned probably will be perspective. I think many times we are stuck. We're jaded in our ways. Sometimes we have to unlearn some things and literally change our paradigms. Just in that place where your perspective can change, right? I think if you come with a this is the way it's always done, you leave no room for anything. It just messes things up. The only constant in life is change. That's literally something that you're guaranteed. And so having a perspective where, yes, you have your values. Yes, you're not going to compromise your standards, but you also have the perspective to say, you know what, I want to be willing to listen to see what the other person is saying. If we listen half as much as we speak sometimes, it would help a lot, right? Because it brings empathy. It makes you more human, where you're saying, you know what, actually want to hear what you're saying, see what your concerns are, and that helps. So I'll say approach life with the same perspective. When you hear a story, before you make a judgment call on it, is always great to have the second side. So sometimes the first person who says something is not always right? And so just making sure, do I have the right perspective on this? Have I really been able to get a panoramic view of this situation, right? And thirdly, I would say just understanding principles in life, right? Life has principles, and they work, right? Regardless of who you are, regardless of if you believe in them. It's like gravity, right? If you jump, you're coming down. And so there's some principles in life that you just have to follow, right? And so to a certain extent, you have to say, okay, what principles am I going to work with? All right. I talked about gratitude earlier, or about serving others, right? Serving other people. I think there's some principles that if you can really stay with, they really work for you. And one I would say also is passion, right? Just being passionate about life, right? What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you're trying to get? Being intentional, being clear in your vision and your direction, right? Where you're trying to go. Because what I've realized is, doesn't matter how good your intentions are, you always move in the direction of your thoughts, right? And so if you can get that space where you're going in the right direction, you're doing what it is you want to do, it just helps, and you're obeying the principles that work for you. Wow, that's good. I think this stage is interesting because I think more and more we talked about decisions earlier. More and more I realize how every decision or indecision has consequences, right? And being in the place of a pastor, a leader, where in a sense people are kind of following. I think being very careful about that, being very intentional, because what you want to do is make sure every decision is well thought out. Everyone might not agree with it, but if you can start with the why, why you're doing something, it helps. And then also to realize that you're taking people on a journey with you, right? And so you have to be able to define and articulate that vision where people can see it, they can understand it, and they can follow it. And so I love the scripture in Habakkuk which says, that write the vision down, make it plain, right? And I think many times people kind of stumble on that. It's like we have this idea, this great business idea, for instance, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm not really sure how I want to do it. Yes, I want to do this, but how, right? You could do it in so many ways. And so I think taking time to really say, okay, where am I trying to go? What am I trying to do? So how like in the malls you have the big old directory, if it's really one of those big malls with multiple floors and stuff, and you have the big circle that says you are here. And I think many times that's where we need to start from, right? That you are here place in life. And if you can do that, sometimes it will make you answer a question that God asked Adam. It says, "Where are you? Where are you?" Seems so simple, right? Adam is not. God is not talking about his physical location or about geography, but really, where are you? Because if you don't know where you are, you definitely can't tell if to know where you're going. And so once you define that, okay, this is my starting point, this is where I'm trying to go to, then you can kind of build a bridge to get there. And so I think very, very important is knowing, okay, here is what I'm trying to accomplish. How do I do it? How do I do it? And so you can start taking baby steps, and sometimes you need to say, okay, here's the way to go. Who do I need to talk to? Who's going to help me out on this journey? Who are the partners? Who are the people I could collaborate with? Who do I learn from? Just so many other questions from that. But I'll say start out defining where you are and defining where you're trying to go and articulate that vision properly. Wow, great question. So first off, I will say, I empathize with, anyone who, you might feel confused or despondent, not sure what you want to do. And I really, really hope this provides some level of clarity in your purpose and what you can do. So let's start, typically that happens after a great loss or tragedy, or maybe you're just in a place where you're like, wow, I really don't know what I should be doing, I really don't know where I should go. I will say first off, start with the fact that, look, you're here, you're alive, and you're asking the question of what should I do. That's a good place to be. There's a scripture, not trying to be facetious, but that says that a living dog is better than a dead lion, right? And when you think about it, yes, in the hierarchy, the animal kingdom, the lion is above the dog, right? But it says if the dog is alive and the lion is dead, guess who's better? The dog, right? And so you're here, you're alive. That's a great place to be. Second thing I would say is, what can you do, right? That is within your control. I think one of the biggest things is many times we live in the past, right? Whether it's regret, it's something, and we just can't get past that. I beg you, the past is gone. You have today. The future is great, but guess what? It's still ahead of you. And so what you have is today, right? Use it very, very well. What are you doing today? What are you doing today would be my question for you. And I would say you could do that in 4 categories, right? You could ask yourself, what am I going to start doing today, right? What's the thing that I need to start? I've talked about it for so long. I just need to start, right? No more analysis, right? The next one, the opposite of it are there some things I can stop, right? This is bad for you. You don't have to analyze it. No one has to tell you every time it happens, it doesn't work out. You just need to stop it, right? Some things you're just like, you know what? I really, really need to stop doing this or stop going here, whatever it is. And then, the 3 and 4 are, likely better versions of that, meaning there's some things you need to do more of. and there's some things you need to do less of, right? And I'm trying not to oversimplify, so it doesn't sound like, well, if it's that easy, why is it not already happening? But some things you really just need to say, okay, what exactly is the problem here, right? So if I use money, for instance, maybe your problem is not having enough money, but it's the fact that you're spending more than you're earning, right? And so there's always a deficit, because it doesn't matter if you eventually start making more, as long as you're spending more than you're making, there's always going to be a problem, right? And so you need to come up with a budget, come up with list your debts, and okay, what can I start eliminating? And so if you're in that place where you're really just not sure what to do, I would say start where you are, start with what you have, right? Because again, it's so easy to identify the things we don't have. Oh, I don't have enough money, I don't have the resources, I don't have this, I don't have that. But there's something you do have, and start with that in that place to say, you know what, I'm here, what is it that I have? Who are the people that I could possibly collaborate with to come out of this bind? Okay. All right, fantastic. Hey, thanks guys, thank you so much for joining me. Winning in life. I hope I answered your questions. If you have more questions, let me know. Maybe we'll take them in another session. But winning in life is great. We talk about all things life, all things family and faith and finances, fitness, friends, just all of it, right? Everything that pertains to life. And so until next time, I hope you keep winning in life. Join the winner's circle, share, subscribe, tell someone. I will catch you next time. God bless you.